What is up, guys? John Anthony from masculinedevelopment.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to turn any girl on using two simple yet critical attraction triggers. Now, before we begin, this is not some mainstream quick fix bullshit article by Men's Health or Your Tango. This is the real, raw, unadulterated red pill truth about how to turn women on. Now, for your own convenience, I've divided this video into three parts. The first part is simply the overview. Here I'll explain what these two critical attraction triggers are and what the right ratio is to have between them. In parts 2 and 3, I will specifically explain how you can apply these concepts to your life and get the results that you want with women. So please, for your own sake, lock the fuck in, sit back, relax, put this video on full screen because it has the potential to change your life. And with that in mind, let's get to it. Now, when it comes to attracting women, there's really only two things that you need to understand: value and comfort. Value is simply being a sexually attractive man. Comfort is simply how safe she feels with you. Now, the important part to understand is that you need to get the ratio between these two things right. Too much value and not enough comfort, and a girl will be sexually attracted to you but won't feel comfortable and safe enough to want to have sex with you. If you have too much comfort and not enough value, then she'll basically just be your friend. This is what's known as the friend zone. Now, most guys end up in the friend zone because they lead with comfort rather than value. And as I'm going to explain in this video, the most important thing that you can do in your own dating life is to lead with value rather than comfort. Most guys get put in the friend zone because they lead with comfort by always showering her in compliments, being available all of the time, doing nice things for her all of the time, taking her on tons of dates, chatting her up, without demonstrating any value. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no problem with complimenting women or taking them on dates. The issue is that if you lead with comfort before you lead with value, she will slot you into the provider category. This is why you always want to lead with value first. If you lead with value, even if a girl isn't comfortable enough with you quite yet to sleep with you, it's a lot easier to build comfort than it is to build value. And I'm going to specifically talk about how you can build these things with the women that you're dating in parts 2 and 3 of this video. But for now, understand one thing. You want to think of value and comfort as a ratio. So if you have value over here and comfort over here, think of each one from 1 to 10. If you have too much value and not enough comfort, so if your value is at 10 and your comfort is at 1, she'll be attracted to you, but too intimidated to even talk to you or chat with you, flirt with you, or get alone with you in a place where you two could eventually maybe have sex. If you have too much comfort and not enough value, she'll be completely fine hanging out with you, being around you all the time, but she's not going to be sexually attracted to you. This is why the real key is learning to maximize both. When you can get your value and your comfort to 10 simultaneously, you can literally turn any girl on that you meet ever. So with that in mind, let's get to part 2 and explain how to maximize your value. So the first thing you need to understand about value is that there's actually 4 types: looks, resources, social status, and game. Now, depending on whether a woman is looking for a short-term or long-term relationship, her focus may shift. So when women are looking for shorter-term relationships, looks and game, numbers 1 and 4, play the biggest role. When a woman is looking for a longer-term relationship, typically social status and resources become primary. That being said, if you can maximize all 4, then you will literally attract any girl out there. Now, the first type of value is your looks. So let's talk about how to maximize that real quick. There's basically 3 different things to focus on when it comes to your looks. The first is your grooming. The second is your style, and the third is your fitness. So let's talk about each one a little bit more in depth. Let's talk about grooming. So grooming is pretty cool because you can use these tips very quickly and get a great result within a day or two. So with grooming, you want to focus on your hairstyle, your hygiene, and your body hair. Okay, so with your hairstyle, let's take a look at some hairstyles that are good and some ones that are bad. So when it comes to your hairstyle, guys, the main thing you want to focus on is getting the right haircut for your facial shape. So most guys don't know this, but there's actually a bunch of different facial shape categories that every guy has, right? So me personally, I'm probably more of like a square or like a round shape, and that means that certain haircuts are going to look good or bad on me, right? And so it's hard to learn this for yourself sometimes. So what I recommend you do is just actually go to a high quality salon, find one that charges over $100 and pay them to give you a good haircut, and then just take a picture and you can know what it looks like from now on, right? Any high-end stylist will know these things. So let's take a look at some haircuts here. So as you can see, this guy's haircut is pretty good, right? It kind of fades by the side. It accentuates his height at the top, right? That's a pretty common thing is guys will have more length on the top because it makes them look taller. It gives the appearance of having them taller, right? All these are pretty good, right? They're well cut. There's no like weird, things flopping off the side or whatever. No random bits that are, gonna look weird or anything like that. Look at this one right here. So this guy kind of has like a shorter face, right? If you look at it, so this elongates his face, adding the appearance of a more well-rounded face. This guy right here, again, it's cut pretty nicely. If you look here, it kind of like fades off to the side, and then tying in facial hair, it actually ties right in quite nicely to his facial hair, right? So again, it's pretty simple. I talk about this a lot in my books and my products, but facial hair and your hairstyle are very simple to get. Find a stylist that's good and pay her a lot of money to give you a good haircut, and then just remember what that looks like. Now, I hope I don't have to explain why these are bad, but it's pretty clear, right? Like, these are just fucking stupid, right? Like, what the hell is this shit? Like, it's just awkward, it's lopsided, it's weird. Sometimes you can have like a weird haircut if you're a celebrity and it's done in the right way, right? So like, he has kind of a very interesting haircut, but he's a fucking celebrity, so that's really high value right there, high social status, which is the third type of value that we're going to talk about. But in general, you want to avoid anything that's too edgy and kind of just go with the tried and true haircuts, like these things right here, just basic simple things like this, more length on the top, less on the sides. So now that you understand hairstyle, let's talk about your scent. The first thing you need to understand is that women are far more attuned to a man's smell than most of you probably realize. They've done studies where they'll have 20 different men and they'll have those men sweat, and they'll take the men's shirts and then have women smell each of their shirts. And what they find every single time is that the women are almost instantly able to tell which man has higher testosterone. And if that doesn't blow your minds, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. That's crazy to me that a woman can literally smell your testosterone just from your shirt. So it's really important to get your scent down. And with that in mind, there's two things I recommend. The first is I recommend that you use tactical soap. So what is this? Well, I first heard about it about a year ago, and I've been using it ever since. So it's basically bioidentical pheromone soap. And what that means is that when a high testosterone male sweats, he gives off certain pheromones, right? It's a specific type of hormone in your sweat that signals to women that you're a good mate, right? So in other words, it literally turns girls on. And when you wash with tactical soap, it has those hormones in it. So in other words, if you use tactical soap, which there's a link for down below, it's in my recommended products section of the description of this video. When you wash with tactical soap, you literally rub hormones on your body that signal to women that they should fuck you, right? So it's pretty cool. I've been using them for about a year and I have had nothing but good results. Every time I'm with a girl, they always tell me that I smell really good. So yeah, definitely use that shit. If you're a man who bathes, then you should be using tactical soap. The second thing to get right is your cologne. So I wrote an article a while ago on the top 3 colognes that I think every man should have. And I'm not going to tell you which one I use personally because I don't want a bunch of guys stealing my scent. But, there's quite a few colognes out there that are really good. The most important thing is that you don't just buy some cheap Axe bullshit like you're in middle school, because girls will see through that really quickly. And if you are in middle school, then I'm sorry. I know I have some younger viewers. Invest in something like, what the hell is it? Eros by Versace or Cool Water by Davidoff. Something that isn't too expensive. Maybe it's $20-$30, but it'll last you a long time. Trust me, it will be very worth your investment. Now, the second type of your looks that you want to focus on is your style. And this basically comes down to dressing in a way that is congruent and that complements your body type. So I'm a fit person. I have a fit body type. So the way that I dress is going to be different than someone who's overweight, for example. Style is, a long and complicated topic. So if you want more on style, you can check out my newest book, Elite Dating Secrets, which I actually just launched on Amazon. It goes over everything from, game to the Iron Rules of John, the 10 Commandments of game that I've created, to living a better life, self-help, and all these different things. You can check it out if you want. If you're one of my younger viewers and you can't afford it, that's fine. I'll send you a free copy. Just shoot me an email. But with that in mind, let's take a look at some examples of style, and I'll kind of talk through them so that you can understand them a little bit more. So let's take a look at some examples of good style. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of different types of style, and this is just one type, but this is kind of like the bad boy sort of biker style, right? It's very typical. It's guy has a leather jacket, t-shirt underneath, and a dark pair of pants, usually denim jeans, right? This is a pretty simple example of style that you can emulate. One thing to notice too is that oftentimes they'll have an accessory like a necklace. Let's see if I can find one, or like a watch, something of that nature. You generally always want to have at least one or two accessories on as a guy, because it gives girls something to talk about as a conversation starter if they're interested in you. But as a whole, style is pretty simple. It's just a matter of matching colors and making sure that nothing is too out there. If you want to get a good idea of style, literally just Google men's style and look through some of the examples, okay? All right, so now that boring ass fucking horseshit is out of the way, let's talk about how to get jacked. So the most important thing when it comes to getting jacked is that you want to have the right goal. So most guys focus on getting big, when in reality, it's not just being big that matters. It's having a V-taper, okay? So when you're trying to turn women on by providing value, which is what the topic of this video is, the biggest thing is you want a V-taper that follows the golden ratio. So science has actually shown us that the most attractive body type to a woman, whatever, regardless of what she says, some girls, they'll obviously say, oh, I like skinny guys, but then they'll go and fuck a jacked guy, right? The most ideal ratio of your shoulders to your waist as a man is 1.616. And this is basically the Adonis ratio, the golden ratio. It's the ratio that signals you are healthy and fertile and that you would give a woman good genetics, right? And so if you want to know what that looks like, take a look. This pose. All right, so all jokes aside, the most important thing when you're trying to get a body that's physically attractive is the V-taper. Now, a lot of guys try to get big without getting the V-taper, and this is a huge mistake. So obviously having big muscles is more attractive to women. No one's gonna say that that's not the case, but getting a V-taper is by and large the biggest bang for your buck, and it's the most attractive body to women, period, right? If you look at any celebrity, any guy that's a sex symbol, typically, they usually have this type of body, right? Now, I'm not going to go too in depth here because obviously I sell a book called Body of an Alpha, which tells you exactly how to get this V-taper, but I'm going to give you chapter 6 of this book for free. And what it's called is The Principles of Lifting. And so I created this chapter because I encountered a lot of guys that would follow a workout routine, whether it was mine or someone else's, and they would tell me, John, I like it, but I'm not getting the results that I want. And so the principles of lifting are meant to be followed whether you're using my routine or any other routine, because if you don't follow these principles, you won't get jacked no matter what you do. But if you follow them, then you'll get jacked even with a pretty shitty routine. So with that in mind, here they are. Okay, so let's talk about the principles of lifting, guys. And as I said, this is from my ebook, Body of an Alpha, which you can get online on my website or by clicking on the link down below. But I wanted to give you this chapter for free just as a gift from my heart to yours because I think that it has the potential to really change a lot of guys' lives if they apply this advice. Okay, so first off, in any art, there are always principles that lead to success. This is the case with health and fitness. It's the case with women, with making money, with life as a whole. And you want to find the principles because having the specific techniques is good, but without the principles, the underlying principles that guide the techniques and the progress, you won't get that far. Okay, so principle one is train hard. And I'm just going to go through these real quick. Train hard, okay? And I know this sounds obvious, right? As I say right here in the first sentence. Are you kidding, John? Isn't that self-explanatory? Well, no, it isn't, because I've seen so many guys that go to the gym and they do not train hard. They don't break a sweat. They, rest 10 minutes between the sets. They just aren't pushing themselves. So you always want to push yourself more and more and get stronger and stronger. And don't stop training hard, okay? There's signs that you're training hard and signs that you're not. I talk about this in the book. The second principle is train with the proper frequency. So most guys either train too little or too much, and there is such a thing as training too much. So you want to train just enough so that your body is stimulated to grow, but not so much that you can't recover, okay? And that's really important. So you want to recover as much as you can and get 9 hours of sleep a night. It's really important, okay? Third is training with the proper technique, and that's basically just the way that you're lifting the weights, right? And it seems obvious and apparent, but most guys in my experience don't do this. They use really bad form and they end up pulling their body out like I did before. They'll pull their back out or something. They'll destroy their joints and their ligaments. You want to train with proper form, okay? And basically what that means is just using the muscle that the exercise is meant to target. So if you're doing curls, don't use your back, don't use momentum, specifically just use your biceps, okay? And it sounds easier than it's done, and it sounds obvious, but when you look at your form in the gym, you'll find that you're actually unconsciously clenching other muscles and using them to support you, when in reality, you should be focusing on that one specific muscle. Principle number 4 is gains are made when you recover, not when you train. Okay, so again, there's an old saying amongst bodybuilders, and it goes like this. Gains are made when you're recovering and not when you're training. So literally, if you aren't getting results in the gym, read that 10 times, okay? It's important to obviously train hard, as I say here, but it's equally important to rest enough, okay? If you're trying to get jacked and you're working out, 2 hours a day or whatever, and you're only sleeping 5 hours a night and you're not eating enough food, you're not going to get jacked, period, right? You need to eat the right foods. You need to, focus on obviously training hard in the gym, but also recovering, okay? Recovery is very important, and I lay out some different things in the book on how to do that, such as sleeping 9 hours a night, drinking a gallon of water a day, stretching every morning, minimizing stress, etc., okay? Principle number 5 is consistency. It takes time to get jacked. You can do it pretty fast if you are on SARMs, which I obviously talk about on my blog, or if you're really you have conviction and you're committed. But in general, it's still going to take time. Okay, it might take 90 days before you start seeing the body that you want. It might take a few months. It might take a year, right? Whatever it is, you're not going to get jacked overnight. So stay consistent. Okay, and those are the principles of lifting. I wanted to share those with you guys. Memorize those, apply them to your health and fitness life, and you will get more jacked than you ever thought possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed that free chapter. I think that those principles of lifting are extremely important, because even if you have a shitty workout routine that you get on bodybuilding.com or Muscle and Fitness for free, if you apply those principles with that workout routine you're using, you'll still get decent results. And by the way, just a quick insider secret. A lot of those workout routines that you see pro bodybuilders talking about and recommending, and that you see talked about on bodybuilding.com, a lot of those are actually made for guys on steroids. So they'll work for guys on steroids, but not for guys that aren't on steroids. So keep that in mind, okay? And that is the physical health / physical fitness part of value. And with that in mind, let's get to the second type. Now, the second type of value is your resources. This is things like your car, your house, your wealth, especially any connections you might have. And these are good to keep a girl interested in you for a longer period of time, right? Because again, as I said, when women are looking for things in the short run versus the long run, their priorities will change. But as a whole, the main thing with your resources is, even though it provides value to a woman, you want to focus on it solely for your own sake. You should never lead with resources to attract a girl, okay? And this is a very common misconception that guys have. They think that if you get a nice car, a Lamborghini, and a nice watch, and whatever it is, you're going to get girls. And it's not that simple. If you can use your resources to set up a fun, exciting lifestyle, then that's the best way to get women with resources. But when you try to lead with resources, in other words, when you try to show off your wealth to attract a girl, one of two things is going to happen. The first thing that's typically going to happen 90% of the time is she's going to be completely turned off. And the reason why is because when you try to attract a girl with resources, basically what you're saying is, hey, I'm a little fucking faggot bitch beta male. If I give you some money, do you want to fuck me? Right? That's basically what you're saying when you try to win a girl over with money. The second thing that's going to happen, which is 10% of the time probably, is you are going to get some girls, but they're only going to be interested in you as long as you pay them. Okay, I could tell you some fucking horror stories from some of my clients that literally blow thousands of dollars a week, not total, thousands of dollars a week on girls and gold diggers. And she has her claws in him and he can't realize it until it's too late and his life gets fucked up. So do not lead with resources. If anything, focus on resources for your own happiness and exciting life. Build a fun and exciting lifestyle where you're traveling and doing fun, cool things on a regular basis. And then you can meet girls that way and you can date girls, and the ones that you like, you can invite them into your life. But never use resources to attract women up front. Now, when you're trying to accumulate resources, there is a core set of principles that you want to follow. Just like there is the principles of lifting, which I discussed earlier in this video, there's also principles of wealth. And so I'm going to go over an article that I wrote recently real quickly with you just to drive this point home. This article is entitled Returning to the Fundamentals, Wealth Part 3 of 5. And I talk about a series of fundamentals that are critical to succeeding at anything in life. And here are the universal fundamentals, which apply to everything from getting women to being happy to getting money and being successful to getting jacked, whatever it is. And then there's some wealth-specific fundamentals that I talk about here. So let's start with the universal ones first. So first one is be consistent, okay? Whatever it is you're trying to do to make money, to accumulate resources, if you're not consistent, whether it's drop shipping or blogging or trading cryptocurrencies, if you're not consistent and if you don't do it day in and day out, you're not going to learn and make progress. So you need to be consistent. Second is seek clarity. You need to seek clarity in everything you're doing. And what that means is basically stop focusing on the petty little stupid things that most people get caught on and keep your eye on the big picture. And that kind of ties into this one right here, which is focus on what's relevant and discard what is not. So most people focus on stupid bullshit when it comes to their life and anything in general. And they focus on, things like, oh, why is my boss so mean? And I don't know, oh, fuck, I have this thing due tomorrow, this paper due for school or something. How am I going to do this? No, don't focus on that. Focus on how can I become a millionaire by the time that I'm 25, right? Focus on what is relevant and what matters and ignore what isn't, okay? And that doesn't mean you can't still do the small petty tasks, but it means that your focus shouldn't be primarily on them. Fourth is learn from mentors, okay? When it comes to wealth, learn from people that have accumulated wealth. And as I talked about in my last video on modeling, model them, right? Do what they're doing and you'll get their success. Double down on the high ROI leverage points, focus on what is working already, take massive action, and utilize the slight edge. Make small improvements every day, and eventually you'll get success. It's that simple, okay? So the wealth-specific fundamentals are, first off, offer value to other people, okay? Most people, they approach making money by asking, how do I make $1 million? And that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a hell of a lot better than asking, how do I, just get a job or how do I just get by in life? But the real question to ask is, how do I improve enough people's lives that they're willing to give me millions of dollars, right? That's the real question. Because when you shift your focus, your priorities and your actions will change naturally, okay? Second one is go deep on one source of income. So there's this popular idea nowadays about how you should fucking, diversify your wealth and have, passive income, multiple streams of income is the phrase that they use. And that's good. But when you're starting off, focus on one thing, okay? Don't leave that one thing until you're making enough money from it to support you, right? So if you want to have a large number of different, sources of income, start with one thing first, right? Maybe it's investing, right? Okay. Get to the point where your investments are generating, 7K a month, 10K a month. And then you can move on to learning how to do drop shipping or whatever it is, right? But go deep on one source of income first, and then tying in the third point, automate it, and then move on to another source of income. So automate everything you can, okay? If you want to really read this article, it's pretty in depth, so you can read it if you want on masculinedevelopment.com, but you want to automate everything you can. Most people do the grunt work. They do the stupid tasks that are, for peons and plebs and peasants, okay? Don't do that shit. Automate everything you can. Automate sending emails. Automate, meetings. Automate your planner, your schedule. Automate, creating content. Whatever it is that you're doing, automate the things that you can so you can focus on the bigger picture. Fourth is leverage your existing assets. So if you have money, invest it. If you don't have money, that's fine. Leverage what you have, right? Maybe if you're young, all you have is just your willingness to work. Well, leverage that, I get guys sometimes that, come up to me and they're like, John, how do I fucking, find some millionaire person to mentor me, right? Well, the answer is offer value, right? Which is actually the first one, funny enough. Go up to them and say, hey, let me work for you for free. I just want you to teach me what you know, but I will work for you for free if you teach me what you know, right? Work for free, right? If that's all you have is your willingness to work, then leverage it. If you have a blog like I do, then leverage that, right? Start selling things that, offer value. Again, point number one, start selling things off of your blog so you can leverage it. Sell things that offer value to people, right? And lastly is diversify your investments. So you do want to go deep on one source of income, but don't go so deep on one thing if you don't know it's going to work that, basically if it doesn't work, then you're fucked. Okay, so those are the principles of wealth and accumulating resources. Again, I recommend you read the full article. It's all here. It goes really, really deep. So check it out. And with that in mind, let's get to the next type of value. The third type of value is your social status, okay? And this is going to take some time, just like wealth and accumulating resources, just like some of the other things in this video are going to take time. But if you can do it the right way, then your attractiveness to women will blow up. It'll go crazy. Okay, so here's what you need to know when it comes to social status. Understand that social status is relative, right? So social status basically just means who is at the top of the social hierarchy. And this changes depending on the situation. So for example, in a hospital, the top surgeon would probably have the highest social status there, right? He's the guy at the top. Everyone trusts him. They respect him. They look up to him. So he has a high level of social status. But if you take that same guy and plop him into a nightclub, no one knows him there, right? So in a nightclub, the highest social status people will be the DJs, the promoters, the bouncers, right? DJs are at the top though, right? The owner of the club and the DJs are at the top. Then below them would be like, the promoters, maybe below them, the bouncers, and then below them, the average people, right? Maybe below them, the bartenders, and then the average people, right? So understand that social status is relative. So the main goal is to create your own life where you're at the center and you're the high status guy. Now, don't confuse this with being a dick, okay? I'm not ever saying that you should be mean or put people down. I don't do those things, and I don't think that anyone should ever do those because just from a purely, evolutionary psychology and alpha beta perspective, that's a very beta characteristic, right? A true alpha male is a leader of men, and they raise everyone around them up. And fundamentally, that's how you become the center of your own life and you develop high social status is every one of your friends, the people around you, your family, you raise them up and offer value to them. Say that maybe you have a friend who's struggling with business, right? Or maybe he's got a job and he doesn't know how to get out of it, right? Well, provide value to him by, talking with him over a drink or coffee or whatever and explaining how to start a business, right? Mentor him, right? Help people, improve their lives. And if you're sort of the captain of that ship and you get a lot of people on that ship, metaphorically, and you're driving that ship through the waters to better places, then you're the alpha male with the high social status. And that's basically what I mean when I say creating your own life where you're at the top. Now, there's another concept you need to understand, which is extremely important, known as the sigma male. When it comes to social status, most people only know about the alpha-beta dichotomy. Alpha's confident, beta's insecure, alpha's dominant, beta's submissive, etc., etc. But there's actually a lot of different categorizations when you look into the literature of evolutionary biology. And one of my favorite types of males, so to speak, is the Sigma male. And I wrote an article on this a while ago. I think it was entitled something like The Return of the Sigma Male or something like that. And I talked about what exactly a Sigma male is, right? And here's the idea. A Sigma male is basically an alpha male with one critical distinction. Whereas an alpha male is typically bound to a certain structure, right? So for example, an alpha male might be the surgeon at the top of the social hierarchy in a hospital, or the DJ at the top of a social hierarchy in a nightclub. A Sigma male is someone who has alpha characteristics, but can transition and move between different social circles. So you might think of him as a super connector, right? Someone who maybe knows, the top people in the health and fitness industry and the top people in the political industry and the top people, because it is an industry, politics, and the top people in, health and the, finance industry or something, right? Someone who knows a lot of different people in a lot of different places, right? They're a super connector and they can easily move between different circles, right? You might think of them as an ambassador, right? Maybe you knew one in high school, right? Or in college who was one of those kids who, he got along with the nerds, right? I hate to stereotype people like nerds and jocks, whatever, but you know what I mean, right? Maybe the Sigma male was someone who got along with the nerds and got along with the jocks and got along with the theater kids and got along with, everyone basically, right? And that's basically the number one way to increase your social status is to be a Sigma male. And there's many ways to do this, but the most important way is actually part 4 of giving value, which is having game. Game can be called many different things. Game can be called social skills. It can be called charisma. It can be thought of as your ability to connect with people. It can be thought of as, specifically with women, your ability to spike their emotions and make them feel good and make them attracted to you, right? But however you spin it, whatever way you want to put it, the biggest thing about game is that it is your highest leverage point. And here's what I mean by that. So many guys think that once I get jacked enough or once I get enough money, then I'll be able to get girls. But the fact of the matter is that this is just not the case. And your highest leverage point is always going to be game or social skills or charisma or whatever you call it. And here's why. So fundamentally, if you don't have the ability to go and meet a girl, attract her, and seduce her, then no amount of money or looks is going to change that, right? Money and looks might make it easier. It'll make her more attracted to you initially because, again, you're providing more value. But the number one most important type of value to provide a girl is game, is spiking her emotions, is making her feel good, right? There's a reason why there's, the stereotype of a girl who dates, some degenerate drug dealer or some fucking, some asshole or something. Why is that? Well, it's not because he's paying her money. It's not because, he's particularly jacked, although maybe he is sometimes. It's because he can make her feel a wide range of emotions, right? It's called the roller coaster of emotions for a reason. And fundamentally, here's how you make a girl feel emotions. The master key of making a girl feel emotions is being grounded in your masculinity and being centered and happy in who you are. This is fundamentally known as drawing state from within, which is the same thing as having a masculine core or masculine energy. And I talk very extensively about this in my ebook, especially 7 Strategies to Develop Your Masculinity, where I give you 7 specific things you can do right now to increase your attractiveness to women by fundamentally increasing your masculine energy and your groundedness. Now, to talk a little bit more about this concept, there is something known as the law of state transference. And what this means is that whatever you're feeling, a girl will feel too. And this is where the idea that a man should be a woman's anchor comes from, right? It's where these metaphors come from about how, men are like a mountain, right? They don't move, they're solid, they're firm in who they are. Whereas, if you think of like Mother Nature, she's a tornado and a tsunami, and sometimes she's peaceful and sunny, and there's this wild range of emotions and inner states that are changing, right? That's fundamentally how you want to approach your relationship with women is you're the mountain, you're the rock, and you are unaffected by external circumstances, right? It doesn't matter how much the fucking, the clouds get cloudy and how much things, rain and tumble and hail comes down. It doesn't matter, right? The mountain is still gonna be there. The mountain is still a fucking mountain. It doesn't move. And fundamentally, that's what being a man means. And that's where fundamentally good game comes from, is being centered and grounded in yourself. If you can stay grounded and centered in who you are and draw state from within and generate your own emotions as a man, then you will be the most high value, attractive person that she will ever find. And again, the reason why is because this leverages male and female polarity. It builds attraction on an almost spiritual level when a woman feels like you're a mountain and you're the rock, and she can just do anything in the world to try and sway you and make you feel differently, but you're fundamentally a man. And, if you think of masculinity, it's basically like a charging bull. I've used this example before, but, you can have a fucking female, a cow, right? A female bull off in the distance saying, fuck you, you're a chode, right? Do you think the bull's gonna stop fucking charging and be like, oh, what did you say about me? Oh, I'm sorry. No, the bull's gonna keep fucking charging, right? When you're a man who is not affected by external circumstances and you draw state from within, which is masculine energy, that is the essence of game. So with that in mind, I want to read you a quote from my newest book, Elite Dating Secrets, which is available for purchase on Amazon. And it covers everything that you need to know about game, attracting women, what women want, pretty much everything. It's basically my how-to guide on getting girls and being fulfilled as a man as a whole. So here's a quote that I thought was very relevant. Think of the men that women want to fuck. James Bond, Christian Grey, the captain of the football team. They all have a firm sense of purpose and are goal-driven. Fundamentally, masculine energy is directive. It is like a freight train speeding down the tracks at 150 miles per hour, and it will not let anything in its tracks stop it from getting where it wants to be. Masculinity is like a raging bull charging through the fields. 1,000 pounds of raw, brute strength stampeding inexorably to whatever its eyes are set on. And when you create this bigger purpose and sense of direction for yourself, girls will be drawn to you like wildfire. So that's the core of game, is masculine energy. Now, with that in mind, there are outer level techniques, and I'm going to go over a few real quick. Again, I talk about the main 4 techniques in my book, Elite Dating Secrets, but real briefly, we'll go over them right here in this video. So the first game technique is called DHV, or Demonstrating Higher Value. And keep in mind as well, without the underlying masculine energy, these techniques won't be that powerful. They'll still work, but when you have your masculinity, your masculine energy in order, these techniques will be extremely powerful. So the first one is demonstrating higher value. And this basically just means you drop subtle hints or imply certain things that show you are a high status man. So this might be something like, maybe implying that you own a business, implying that you've, dated really attractive celebrities in the past. Maybe it's implying that, you're the captain of the football team. Whatever it is, when you DHV, you basically, name drop or do these different things to show that you have high social status. And again, I'm not a huge fan of techniques. I think that, really when it comes down to it, having masculine polarity is the strongest way to attract women, but that's the first one. Now, the second technique is spiking her emotions. And this is extremely powerful. It's hard to keep up over the long run for a longer term relationship, but if you can spike her emotions in the short run, it's very powerful. And the reason why is because girls want to feel. They don't want to think. They want to fucking feel. And if you can be the guy that makes her feel good, if you can be the guy that makes her laugh so hard that she cries when she's with you, all that she knows is she feels good, and she feels good when she's with you. And that means she likes you. It's that simple. So here's a few ways, again, from my book, Elite Dating Secrets, that you can spike her emotions. One is by telling stories. One is by using a good opener, right? So words are the best way to spike her emotions, right? Using words, using specific sentences, or saying certain things that trigger an emotional response in her, that make her laugh, or make her feel good, or maybe make her feel shock, or whatever it is. The roller coaster of emotions, giving her that feeling, that, or I guess rather that range of feelings, is the master key of game. You can dance with her, escalate on her physically. There's a ton of different ways that you can make a girl feel emotions, feel, horniness, fun, excitement, shock, awe. One popular pickup artist who I'm not going to name, the real OGs will know who he is, because he's kind of dropped off the map nowadays, but he used to pride himself on saying the most shocking things that he could to women. He would tell them stories about how he fucking killed his cat when he was a kid. And because his game was so tight and he knew how to do it, he would, walk in to a really pretty girl and open with this crazy opener about how he killed his cat or something. And even though that's not going to make her feel good, it makes her feel something, which is better than the typical guy who walks up and, hey, ma'am, what's your name, right? That doesn't make her feel anything because she gets that 1,000 times a day, right? So if you can make a girl feel something, even if it's bad at first, or, bad, like shock, or, this crazy, what the hell is this kind of feeling, if you can make her feel something and then eventually turn it into a good feeling, then that's the best way to attract her in the short run. The third type of game is getting her qualifying. And this goes way back to the mystery method, hoop theory. The basic idea, though, is that you want to get her proving herself to you that she's good enough. And there's different ways you do this, but the most powerful way, in my opinion, is just knowing what you want, right? When you know what you want, if you know that you have a certain type of girl, for example, for me, right? My perfect 10 looks a certain way. And, she has blonde hair, for example, right? So say that I meet a girl that doesn't have blonde hair. Okay, so, maybe I'll just be like, maybe she's pretty and I'll be attracted to her, but I won't act particularly impressed, right? I know that I want a girl that is sweet, that is loyal, that has, different personality characteristics. And so when I'm talking to a girl, I'm going to be screening her for these things. And when she begins to feel that, she'll initially have a few realizations. And the first one is, this man knows what he wants. So right off the bat, you're immediately better than 90% of men, right? Most men, all they want is a pretty girl. They don't even begin to screen for personality characteristics, right? So when a girl feels that you're screening her, it sends a powerful signal that she should be qualifying herself to you, right? And if you can hold that frame, she'll eventually qualify herself to you all day long, right? So, I knew one girl a while ago, and, I'm not going to go too deep here, but basically, qualification can take many forms. And sometimes it takes an extreme form. Like I've literally had girls telling me, and I quote, I'm really good at sucking dick. I'm really good at giving blowjobs. They will brag about how good they are at sucking dick because they're trying to get my attention, right? Because they know I'm a man, a high quality, high value man, and I don't just accept any girl into my life, right? So they'll do those things to try to get my attention, right? A lesser form of qualification might be maybe, she says, oh yeah, I work for the government, right? And, you're kind of unimpressed because you think it's boring, right? Because I personally think it's boring working for the government, I would assume. And, so you say, oh, huh, that's cool, right? You're not impressed, right? You're not like, oh, that's cool, right? You're like, huh, no, that's cool, right? Just unimpressed. And she might pick up on that. And she'll say, oh, yeah, it's not the best job. And maybe while she's saying it, she'll give you an indicator of interest, like playing with her hair. And she'll say, oh, it's not the best job, but, it pays the bills, haha, right? Meaning that she's kind of agreeing with you and falling into your frame, right? So anytime you get a girl qualifying, you send a powerful attraction signal to her that basically communicates your high value. And that's the third type of game. The fourth type of game is dread game. And this is a lot more useful in long-term relationships, but the idea is that you want to let a girl know that she's not the only girl in your life, right? Anytime a girl knows that you can't find a different girl, first of all, it's pathetic, and she knows that you're low value. But second, she's not going to respect you as much, right? And you can hate it, you can get mad, you can say I'm an asshole, but I'm just telling you the truth, right? When a girl knows that you have 20 other girls that you could be dating and sleeping with, but you choose her, that is extremely powerful, and she knows, okay, I need to be on top of my game. I need to be nice and sweet to him. Otherwise, he's just going to leave me and go to one of those other girls, right? And there's different ways you can demonstrate this. One is just by having female friends, right? One is, by just actually becoming a man that has other girls in his life, right? One is, setting boundaries, right? So if she does something that's unacceptable, maybe she's rude to you, whatever it is, you tell her, hey, I don't like it when you're rude to me. If you're going to treat me like this, then I don't want to date you and I'll just go find a different girl, right? It might sound like she's dispensable, but in that example, if she's being rude, then you might want to dispense with her, right? So Dread Game just comes down to making her realize that you have other girls in your life and you're not afraid to leave her if she doesn't respect you. So that is basically what game is. So with that in mind, those are the 4 different types of game, and that concludes the value section of this video. So now let's move on to part 3, which is comfort. This part is going to be a little bit shorter than the other parts just because building comfort is relatively easy. And as I said before, most guys focus on building too much comfort and not enough value. So when it really comes down to it, there's basically 3 main ways to demonstrate comfort. The first way is to demonstrate social proof or pre-selection. And here's what that means. So social proof is just the idea that other people have approved of you. Pre-selection is the idea that other women have selected you. And here's what that might look like. So say we're talking about social proof, right? Well, maybe she has a bunch of friends and she hears from her friends, oh, this guy John, he's really cool, right? That's social proof. It makes you more comfortable because you're not just some random guy she met, but rather she knows, okay, this guy has social proof. There's people that have a positive opinion of him, and that means that she can trust you more and she'll feel safer around you. Another type of social proof might be having a YouTube channel with, 20,000 subscribers, or, having a bunch of pictures on your social media with, you in high status events, right? That's why in my Tinder book, I recommend you always have a high status picture that shows you have social proof. Now, the second thing that I mentioned is pre-selection, and this is a very powerful and specific type of social proof, and all that it means is that there's other girls that are attracted to you. And in fact, they actually don't even have to be attracted to you. Really, they just have to be around you. We're friends with you. And the reason why this works is best explained by an example from evolutionary times, right? So again, remember that attraction is not a choice, and it evolved out of evolutionary necessity. So say that we go back 20,000 years, right? 50,000 years, right? When a woman is trying to find a man back then, what's she looking for? Well, a man that can protect for her and provide for her, right? And so if she meets a man, he might be able to act really confident, right? He might be able to, pull off this personality of looking cool and normal, but it might turn out that he's a fucking psychopath, right? So it takes time for a woman to understand if a man is high value or not. And again, there's certain things that can't be faked, right? So for example, your looks, right? You can't fake that, but you can fake confidence. You can fake acting normal. You can fake having money, right? You can, wear a Rolex, but really it's just some cheap watch, or maybe it's your dad gave it to you, right? And you don't actually have money, right? You can fake a lot of these attraction signals. And so what women have evolved is they've evolved to look for other women and see what those women think about a certain man. Because again, go back to caveman times, right? If, a woman meets a man and that man already has 3 girls that are sleeping with him, she knows, okay, he's safe, right? He's attractive because those other women think he's attractive, so he must be attractive, right? That's the way that women think, right? It sounds kind of dumb, but guys do it too, right? If guys hear about a certain celebrity, a female celebrity, and you hear every guy talk about how they want to fuck her, you're probably going to want to fuck her too, right? Even if she's not as attractive as a different celebrity, you might just be attracted to her because of the social proof that she has, the pre-selection, right? So this is a powerful way to signal to women that you are attractive, right? And again, it also signals comfort because when a girl sees that you have other girls, she knows you're not a fucking serial killer or a psychopath. So if you can signal pre-selection just by having female friends, putting them in your social media, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it is, then you will develop more comfort with women. The second way to build comfort is by simply spending time with her, right? Go and do different things with her, right? I talk about, again, in my book, Elite Dating Secrets, how to plan the perfect date. And the way you do this is you plan an experience, right? It's not just a date, it's an experience, right? So that might start off, with you taking her out for drinks, and then maybe you take her to a club nearby to play pool, and then maybe you drive her to this cool, I don't know, like this cool scenic view or something, right? But the idea is that the more experiences a girl has with you, it feels like she's been on more dates with you and she spent more time with you because she's seen you in different scenarios. And that's a very simple way to build comfort, is just spend time with her and be with her in different situations. The third way to build comfort is to demonstrate that you're a protector. And again, women want to feel safe. They want to know that you're not going to hurt them and you're not going to, be like a weirdo, right? It goes back to that old saying, right? What's the worst that can happen to a guy if he goes home with a girl? Well, maybe like when she takes her clothes off, she's a little bit more fat than you thought because she was like hiding it. Maybe she cries, right? She gets like really emotional or something. I've had that happen, right? Girls think of their ex-boyfriends and they start like crying. Oh my God, you look like my ex, right? But that's the worst that can happen, right? If you're a guy, right? If you're a girl, the worst that can happen if you go home with a guy, the wrong guy, is he can fucking kill you. You could end up like those girls in that dude's basement for like 20 years, right? There was a big news story like a couple years ago, right? So women need to know that you're not going to hurt them. And a good way to show them that is to build comfort and to demonstrate that you're a protector. And what that just means is that she knows you're going to protect her, right? That's why, there's this old kind of stereotype of, if a guy and a girl are out on a date and, someone tries to mug them, and then like she feels really afraid, right? And then the guy like beats the mugger up and she's like, oh my God, I feel so safe around this guy. He's so sexy because he can take care of me, right? I think there was some sitcom where some guy like paid some guy to fake that he was mugging him so that he could beat this guy up and then get the girlfriend, right? So anything like that shows a girl that you're going to protect her is extremely attractive to her. Not only actually because it builds comfort, but because it demonstrates high value, right? Because you're basically man enough to protect her, right? You have the resources, the physical, vitality to protect her, right? Another way to do this maybe is, by showing her pictures of you and like a little sister, if you have a little sister, right? Maybe you can, talk about you and your friends, right? Tell stories that show that you're a protector. Maybe, tell some crazy story about how, one of your friends got drunk one time and you had to, get her home safe or whatever it is. Like anything like that shows a girl you're not a psycho and you're not going to rape her is attractive and it builds comfort. Now, again, the main thing to focus on is building value before comfort. Ideally, you want to have maximum value and maximum comfort, but if you have to choose one, choose value because it's a lot easier to build comfort than it is to build value. So I hope this helped. This is my manifesto on value and comfort and how to turn a girl on. And with that in mind, if you guys enjoyed my video, please subscribe, like the video. And if you want to take things to the next level, you can check out my products. As I mentioned in the video, I have quite a few. They're all in the links down below. You can also donate via PayPal if you find this content valuable. And with that in mind, I hope you guys enjoyed all of this. I hope it changes your life, and I will see you guys next time.